The child fell without a sound, not a scream, not even a whimper, just her body hitting the hard floor of the small church. 3 seconds of frozen air. Then someone yelled her name. Chiamaka! Nnamdi Okora's chest tightened, and for the first time that week, he couldn't say no. He couldn't find words at all. He had been so careful, so deliberate, saving every coin, counting every naira, hiding bundles under the floorboards, behind the pantry, inside old tins no one touched. 20 years of preparation for a future he could barely imagine, and now everything felt useless. 3 days earlier it had seemed simple. Obinna tugged at his father's shirt. "Papa, I'm hungry." Nnamdi did not turn. The words had no weight. Not when there were bigger things at stake. Security, protection, tomorrow. "This shop money is not for food," he said, his voice low, controlled, deliberate. Obinna's lips trembled. The boy swallowed hard, nodded, and left. Nnamdi did not watch him go. He went back to counting the bundles he had stashed beneath the floorboard. One day they'll understand, he thought. One day they'll thank me. But that night, Obinna's stomach cried louder than reason. Fever came next, then Chiamaka, the youngest, her head burning, eyes glassy and distant. She murmured something in her sleep, words he couldn't hear, words he did not want to hear. He had always believed money would protect him, protect the family, protect the name. His father had once been strong, and old age had swallowed him anyway. Nnamdi had seen it. Weakness, dependence, begging relatives for medicine. That fear had become a quiet obsession. "I will not be like him," he whispered in the dark. But fear, he realized too late, could turn cruel without a man noticing. On Monday, Ngozi, the eldest, came home from school empty-handed. Fees unpaid, 4,000 naira. The principal had been patient once, twice. The third day, he said, "Tell your father, tell him now." Ngozi sat in the doorway of the shop. Dust clung to her hair, and her eyes were sharp with anger she could not voice. Nnamdi saw her, saw the hollow cheekbones, the way she wrapped her thin sweater around her torso, and he did not move. "Tomorrow," he said. "Tomorrow, we will have enough." Her shoulders slumped. She walked away, silent. Tuesday, pattern breaks arrived. Obinna fainted in the middle of the assembly. Chiamaka's fever rose, and yet Nnamdi's internal dialogue remained steady. "This is temporary. This is discipline. If I don't save now, what will happen to me later?" He did not say it aloud. He never did. He only watched the sweat gather on Ifunanya's forehead as she wiped the children's faces. She carried exhaustion like a badge, moving through the house like a ghost tethered to responsibility. On Wednesday, the secret began to unravel. Nnamdi had hidden 847,000 naira in bundles scattered around the house. Plastic bags beneath beds, tins behind shelves, old rice sacks in corners. Every night he counted, rearranged, memorized the locations. Every night the thought of using even a small portion made his stomach tighten. "If I touch this now, I risk everything." He did not see the risk that had already arrived. Hunger, sickness, starvation, Obinna's pleading eyes, Chiamaka's burning forehead, and Ngozi's silent resentment. Thursday, the village meeting. Contribution time. Nnamdi rose, dropped 200 naira into the basket, and returned to his seat. Applause, pat on the back. "At least he tried," someone whispered. Outside, his children waited barefoot, stomach hollow, eyes wide, and he walked past, counting his steps, counting the bundles in his head. Tomorrow is coming. One day they will understand. What is the point of saving money if it cannot feed the people you love today? Friday, 1 plate of rice for 6 children. Obinna ate first. Chiamaka could not. She sat, hands folded, watching the food move around her like it belonged to someone else. Nnamdi watched too, from the shadowed corner, feeling nothing, saying nothing, his mind still on the future. They will thank me, but they did not. Saturday night. Silence in the house thick enough to choke. Ifunanya sat by the window, rocking Chiamaka, whispering for her to fight. Nnamdi sat on the bench, counting the money, counting the days until security, counting the years until he could finally rest. I am not cruel. I am preparing. Yet for the first time, the thought of tomorrow felt small, insufficient. Will it even matter if they die today? Sunday morning, high tension returns. Church was packed, song rising, children in pews. Chiamaka, fragile but determined, stood too quickly. She toppled. The impact reverberated like a warning. No, the word tore through him. No one reacted fast enough. Her small body hit cement. Someone screamed, someone grabbed her, someone ran. Namdi could not move, could not speak. He had money, a fortune, enough to solve every problem in an instant. At the hospital, the bill arrived. 15,000 naira. Chiamaka pale, barely conscious. Namdi reached for his wallet, stopped, hesitated, then unexpectedly a local teacher stepped forward. Mr. Ibe. Hands shaking, salary barely double the hospital fees. He paid. He carried Chiamaka into the room. He whispered encouragements. Namdi did not speak, could not speak. I have spent 20 years hiding from poverty, and I almost killed my child hiding from it too. That night, Namdi could not sleep. Hospital lights flickered through the window. Drip tubes hissed. Chiamaka slept connected to life itself. Ifunanya sat beside her, hand trembling, eyes brimming yet controlled. Namdi sat outside, listening, counting the silence. Money that isolates you is not protection. It is a cage. Monday morning. He went home alone, dug into every hiding place, counted every bundle. Hand shook, mind raced. What was I saving this for? The answer was too late. Fear had cost too much. Hunger had whispered louder than prudence. Starvation had arrived despite all calculations. He went to the market, bought rice, beans, sugar, cooking oil, food, real food. He carried the bags home. Children stared, ate immediately, crying, laughter, confusion tangled together. Ngozi, the eldest, refused first. I am not hungry, she said. I am tired of being saved by money we cannot touch. Namdi froze. He realized his mistake wasn't just neglect, it was distance. All these years he had saved to protect himself, not them. Ngozi's words hit him harder than any blow. Tired of being saved by money we cannot touch. He had never considered that his carefulness had grown into a wall, one so high his own children could not climb it. I thought I was protecting them. I was protecting myself. Obinna and Chiamaka were already eating. Their small hands grasped at the rice as if it might disappear. Chiamaka coughed, weak but alive. Namdi watched, felt something break, a quiet, unbearable ache in his chest. Ifunanya looked at him, eyes sharp now, not pleading. Do you see? She said softly. Do you see what your fear has done? He could not answer. He only nodded. How long can a man live afraid and call it wisdom? Tuesday came, and the rhythm of consequence did not pause. School fees were due again. 6 children, 30,000 naira. Namdi stared at the money he had counted for years. His hands trembled. He reached for it. This time for them, he whispered. When he arrived at the school, the principal looked up with a raised eyebrow. Payment? Namdi placed the cash on the table. Every note counted, every naira earned from years of careful toil. The principal's face softened, just a fraction, before turning back to his papers. The children's education would continue. But Namdi's stomach knotted. I can't undo the fear. I can only act now. Later that day, pattern break. Sudden sharp line. Fear teaches you lessons too late. Back at home, he watched them eat dinner properly for the first time in weeks. Real soup, meat, rice, bread. They were quiet, chewing quickly, trying to make up for lost days. Namdi's thoughts roamed. Was this enough? He remembered the times Chiamaka had begged for water while he hid his cash. The times Obinna had tried to ask for bread, only to be brushed aside. He had counted money while life counted away. He felt shame, yes, but also an unfamiliar clarity. The future is meaningless if the present is suffering. He had one more secret he hadn't touched yet. In the back of the house, a tin buried under old rice sacks held nearly half of his total savings. Namdi had avoided it for 20 years. Now he pulled it out, hands shaking. He did not count. He only felt the weight of what it represented. Security, isolation, fear. He opened it. Notes scattered across the floor. His children's eyes followed every movement. Obina whispered, "Papa, what is that?" "Money," he said, voice tight. "It's for us now." That night, the first unexpected twist, a knock at the door. It was a man from the market. He carried a small bundle of old letters tied with string. Namdi recognized them immediately. Letters he had written to suppliers, to banks, and even one to his late father, sent but never mailed. They contained plans, promises, and calculations for every imagined disaster. The man handed them over. "Found these while cleaning your shop," he said. "Thought you might want them." Namdi accepted them silently, a chill running through him. Every word reminded him of the obsession that had nearly destroyed his family. He dropped them on the table. Chimaka and Obina peeked, curiosity and fear mixing in their eyes. When does preparation become a cage? Wednesday. He spent the morning repairing small things around the house, broken handles, cracked pots, loose windows. He did not speak. He moved silently, deliberately, as if undoing years of neglect could be physical labor, not emotional. Chimaka's smile was faint. Namdi realized trust could not be bought with money. He had missed that lesson entirely. He sat down, watching them. A father can lose his children in silence before he ever raises a hand against them. "Papa," Obina said, timid, Why did you let us go hungry?" Namdi swallowed hard. "Because I was afraid." He wanted to say it, wanted to cry it, but only managed, "I thought I was protecting you. I was wrong." Silence hung over the table. The children ate, but their eyes were fixed somewhere beyond him, beyond the house, as if he had been absent for decades in 1 week. That afternoon, Namdi went to the market again, purchasing school supplies, notebooks, uniforms. He returned with heavy bags, children trailing behind, cautious but curious. Each step he took was a silent plea, "Forgive me." But Ngozi refused his eyes. Some wounds do not heal overnight. He placed the supplies on the floor. Chiamaka gasped softly at the new books. Obina hugged one tightly. Ngozi remained still. "I cannot force them to trust me again," Namdi thought. "I can only show up." That evening, the village gathered for prayer. Namdi stood to speak. His voice trembled, not just from nerves, but from guilt, from the weight of years lost. I have been afraid," he said. "Afraid of being poor, afraid of being weak, afraid of being like my father. And in that fear, I nearly lost the people I love most. My children, my wife. They suffered while I counted money and hid it, thinking I was safe. I was wrong." A pause. A hush fell. Breath waited. "I am not asking for forgiveness yet. I only want to begin to fix what I have broken." Ifunanya's eyes glistened. Chiamaka and Obina looked at him. Ngozi stared at the floor. Change had begun, but it was fragile. The following week, Namdi continued to repair the house. Leaking windows, broken doors, cracked walls. He worked alongside the children, teaching them chores, showing them how to manage the shop he once guarded like a fortress. Lessons learned late are lessons learned forever. Obina laughed for the first time in days while balancing a sack of rice. Chimaka hummed softly while sweeping. Ngozi, still cautious, helped without speaking. Namdi watched, chest heavy. He realized that presence, not wealth, was the currency his family had been missing. One morning, while cleaning the shelves in the shop, he found an old ledger. Names of customers, amounts owed, notes about deliveries decades old. Among them was a scribbled entry, a loan he had refused to pay for a neighbor's child's school fees. He remembered the shame, the fear, the arrogance that had kept him silent. He tore the page from the ledger. Sometimes the cost of pride is measured in human lives, not money. Weeks passed. The house smelled of cooking, wood smoke, laughter, yet tension lingered. Namdi could not erase the guilt in his children's eyes. He realized some things would never return to how they were. Trust would take years. Affection could not be forced. He had almost lost the very essence of his family in pursuit of his imagined security. He had all the money in the world. and it almost meant nothing. One evening, a letter arrived at the door. The sender claimed to have been a buyer interested in Namdi's provisions shop. They offered an amount that could have doubled his life savings overnight. He stared at the paper, torn. 20 years of obsession, 20 years of fear, 20 years of self-imposed isolation, all condensed into numbers. Do I sell it now? Or do I let my children see me run the business, teach them, share it with them? He folded the letter carefully, placed it in the drawer, and walked to the kitchen. Real wealth is not in numbers. It is in the moments you refuse to trade away. Saturday morning, he prepared breakfast with Ifunanya and the children. They moved with a quiet rhythm, eggs frying, bread toasted, tea steaming. Laughter erupted from Chiamaka over a spilled cup. Obinna tripped over the rug and fell into Nosi's lap. They all laughed, a brief, fragile harmony. Namdi watched, still tense, still uneasy. Every laugh reminded him how close he had come to losing everything. Pattern break. Survival does not erase mistakes. It only gives a chance to learn. That evening, he called his children together. He did not want a sermon. He wanted a conversation. "I am not perfect," he said. "I have been scared. I have made mistakes. You may hate me or you may not trust me. That is your right. But I will show up every day from now on. I will feed you, protect you, teach you, and I will not hide behind fear again." Chiamaka looked down. Obinna blinked rapidly. Ngozi finally raised her eyes to meet his. For the first time, there was no defiance, only a question hanging in the air. Will this be enough? A natural pause settled over the room. Some things cannot be fixed overnight. Namdi sat on the floor, letting the quiet press in. The sun sank behind the hills of Umuaka, casting long shadows across the yard. He realized that he could never undo the hunger, the fear, the neglect, but he could prevent it from happening again. He had almost lost them. He would never almost lose them again. Before bed, he opened the remaining tin of savings. He did not count. He did not calculate. He placed it on the table. Ifunanya glanced at him, nodded once. Obinna climbed onto his lap. Chiamaka rested her hand on his arm. Ngozi hovered nearby. Sometimes presence matters more than gold. If this story made you feel something, consider subscribing, leave a comment, or share it with someone who needs to hear it. Sometimes we all need a reminder that love cannot wait for the future. That night, Namdi lay awake. The house was quiet. The children slept. He could hear the drip of water from a leaky pipe, the rustle of the wind outside. His chest still heavy, mind racing. Money saved without purpose can be meaningless. Money spent wisely can be redemption. But some costs, trust, innocence, love, once lost, cannot be fully recovered. He closed his eyes. The future remained uncertain. The past was irreversible. But for the first time, he felt the fragile pulse of hope beneath the weight of his mistakes. And the fear that had governed 20 years had finally cost too much.